So what are some things that affect the credit score? Well, if you have a better credit score, then they expect more from you, right? With great power comes greater responsibility, or whatever with Spider-Man. So you have a better credit score if you look over there on the right side, 780, versus somebody with a 680 in the middle. Well, if you maxed out your credit card, then you'd only get hurt 10 to 30 points if you're 680 score. But if you're 780, where you're expected to know better and do better, it's going to hurt you 25 to 45 points. So that's, almost double or more getting hurt for the same thing. 30-day late payment, you can see 60 to 80 points if you got a 680, but if you got a 780, it's going to hurt you 90 to 110 and all the way down. So it's hard to build your credit. And if it's, it takes a while, that doesn't just happen overnight, but as you improve your credit and get better and things cost less for you, you have to stay on top of it. And that's why we want to track our credit, and we want to look at our credit report and see if there's anything on there that's damaging it. Maybe somebody used your name and information from the hack and signed up for a credit card you don't know of, or a cell phone plan or something, and they're not paying on time, and you don't really know what's going on because you haven't checked your credit report. So we're going to talk about how to do that, because you don't want that happening to you, because little tiny dings will knock you down if you have a great credit score. So we're going to talk about what's involved in your credit score. There's 5 different main areas that make up your credit score that determine your credit worthiness. And like I said, it doesn't happen overnight. Takes kind of years to get this going. And we're going to talk about each one of these. And so the biggest one is payment history, 35%. And we're going to delve into each of these. The second is the 30%, how much you owe. 15% is your length of credit history. The longer you have, then usually the better. And then the credit mix you have, and if you're having new credit. So what does this mean? Let's look at payment history, the 35%. So how many number of late payments do you have? How recent were they? Was it last month, or was it 2 years ago? How severe were the late payments? Was it like on your mortgage or credit card? Are you 30 days late? Are you 60 days late? Are you 90 days? And so obviously 60 days or 90 days late on a home or whatever it is, a car payment, is more severe than being 30 days late. Number of accounts currently past due. Do you have one account past due, but you have 7 others that are on, not past due, they're good standing, or are 6 out of the 7 past due? And then how old are these accounts? If you've had this account for 20 years and then you're past due 30 days, and this is the first time that's ever happened, that's going to be different than if you've had the account for 3 months and you're already 30-day past due. So all of these go into this 35% bucket of payment history. And you want to make sure you are paying on time, you're not late, and that's the number one thing that's going to help your credit. All right, this next one, the amount owed, is how many accounts do you have open? So, having more accounts can build credit, but you don't want a ton of credit cards, for example, because then that provides an opportunity for you to get into more trouble. If you've got 10 cards with $10,000 on each one, you got $100,000 available to you. That's a lot different than having 3 with maybe $5,000 on each, and you only have $15,000 that you can get in trouble with. And so, how many accounts are open? How many have a balance? And then that bottom left one there, ratio of balance to credit limit, or the initial loan amount. So if you get a car loan, and the car loan starts out at, say, $8,000, and you still owe $7,500, then you haven't really done much to pay that down. You've only paid down $500. But if the initial amount was $8,000, now you only have $2,500, then that looks better, right? You're going to have a higher credit score with that because your ratio of what you owe to what you borrowed is lower. The same thing on credit cards. What we recommend with credit cards is that you are 30% or lower use of the total available credit. So if I have a credit card, and let's just use easy numbers, and I have $1,000 available to me, then the maximum I want to have on there is $300. If I have $900, then that shows that I'm maximizing the use of the credit card, showing less maybe discipline on my end, and so it hurts my credit. So if you have 30% or less, $300 or less on a $1,000 credit card, that shows, hey, he can show restraint. She knows how to manage her money. She's using it, but she's not going overboard. But if we have 5 credit cards for 1,000 and all of them are maxed out at 1,000 and a couple are even a little bit above 1,000, that does not look like we know what we're doing with our money. So that's really going to ding and hurt our credit. So that's really important to keep our ratio under 30%. And then that's the bottom right one, that overall use of debt is just the total amount of debt available to us, the credit available to us. What are we using of that total amount? So the next one is this length of credit history. So in the middle there, you can see the higher the average, the higher your score. So the longer your history length, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years is going to be better than 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, right? So what's the average of your revolving and your installment accounts? And you want to then keep your older accounts open. So a lot of people say, hey, I have this credit card. I'm wanting to close these things down because I'm trying to fix my credit. And should I close this credit card? And then I say, well, how long have you had it? And they're like, well, it's my oldest account. I got it when I was in college, and I've had this for 15 years. And I say, well, what are the other cards and things you have? Well, I just got this other one that's a better card that I like better, and I've had that for 2 years. Well, if you cancel and close the one that you've had for 15 years, now the average amount of time for your credit history shrunk tremendously, right? You used to have 15 years, and now that one's gone, and it goes down to this 2 year. And so you don't have to use it. You can cut it up, just don't close the account. You keep those older accounts open to lengthen the amount of time for your credit history. So hopefully that makes sense. You want a longer credit history. And then on this next one is the types of credit. And so you have revolving lines of credit, which are your credit cards. You have installment loans, which would be kind of like a mortgage or a car payment. And then you have minimum payment activities. That means, are you just paying the minimum, or are you paying more than the minimum? How are you paying towards your debt? Are you're paying on time, but are you paying only the minimum amount? And then the type of lender. So you want a kind of a good mix. That doesn't mean go out and get a bunch of, get a car loan and all these different things, but usually somebody's had a car loan maybe in their life, or a credit card or two, or maybe a personal loan, maybe a student loan. Later they get a mortgage loan. And so there's different types of credit that you've qualified for, and then you pay on time. You pay more than the minimum. You pay things off early. You keep your balances lower, and that shows and proves that you're a good borrower, right? That you are creditworthy. But the type of lender is important, and I'm going to get on a soapbox here for a minute, because a lot of people like to get store cards, right? They go to shopping mall, and these places are offering a store card for 20% or 25 or 30% off discount on that day's purchase if you sign up for your Kohl's card, or if you sign up for your Old Navy card, or whatever it is. And that really dings your credit because it's new, which we're going to talk about next, the length of time, it's brand new. But it also is the type of lender that's not seen favorably, having these store cards versus having a major like Chase bank card, or a Citibank card, or Discover card. Those cards are seen, those types of lenders are seen as better to borrow from and to use than store cards. And so if you keep signing up for these different types of store cards just to get that 30% off, that's really actually costing you more than that in the long run, because it's hurting your credit, and then everything is costing you more. So please don't sign up for all those store cards. And if you've done those recently, and those aren't your super old cards, then I would cut those up and close those accounts, most likely. Depends person by person, but that's usually. So your last 10% is the new credit. And that's, again, how many have you opened in the last 12 months? What are your recent loans, especially in the last 6 months? And so again, if every time you sign up for a new store card or something new, it's lowering the length of history you have. It's shortening it because now you have something new that's only been open for 1 month. And it's dinging your credit because you have an inquiry. So on the left side, the number of inquiries or hard pulls for different purposes ding your credit. So if you want to go get a phone and they're like, well, we need to check your credit, then that's going to lower it for a little bit. No, we need to check your credit for car. That's going to ding it. For this credit card, that's going to ding it. For the store card, that's going to ding it. So you don't want to go around and have everybody checking your credit. Now, what people don't understand is that you do, though, want to comparison shop if you're looking for, say, a car loan or a home loan, a mortgage. You want to get 3 or 4 different lenders to show you what their rates and terms will be. And so I'm a loan officer, and I help people with their mortgages, do purchases or refinance. And by the way, rates are super low right now. So if you haven't done that, you want to look into that. But I tell people that I'm helping with, I say, you want at least 3. I do 3 or 4 different lenders, maybe a small bank, a large bank, a mortgage company, which is like what I work for, and maybe, say, a credit union, and look at the different terms and rates that they have and they offer you, and you want to go with the best one. And they say, well, won't that hurt my credit? And it doesn't. It does for the one, but having 4, 5, 6 or whatever people pull your credit for the same purpose, the same reason, which would be refinancing your mortgage, only counts as one, because they want you to go and comparison shop. So if you get it with 4 different people or one person, one lender, it's gonna ding your credit the same. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, if you have any questions, write those down there and I'll try to answer those. So those are the 5 areas that you want, that are part of your credit score, to kind of show, are you a good credit-worthy borrower, and what rates should you get? And all of these go into that 3 digit number of between 300 and 850 to give you a score compared with everybody else.